Hello everyone, I know it's hard to believe, but Daria here, and welcome to episode number 54 of the Slow Russian Language Podcast. I'm finally back to Moscow and back to work, so from now on, again, every Tuesday we meet right here, speaking about different things in Russia. And today, as I promised last time, we're talking about emergency services. As usual, first comes the text in slow Russian, and after that we'll translate it. Here we go. Сегодня мы поговорим о российских экстренных службах, скорой помощи, противопожарной службе и полиции. Теперь у них есть единый экстренный телефонный номер 112. Скорая помощь в России бесплатна для всех. Обычно бригада приезжает довольно быстро, но иногда приходится ждать очень долго. Пожарные занимаются не только борьбой с огнем, но и профилактикой. Они проводят беседы и лекции в разных организациях. Полиция в России до 2011 года называлась милиция. Она отвечает за соблюдение порядка и борется с преступностью. And that's it for the text. This one was pretty simple. No difficult expressions here. But anyway, we'll try to find something. And today we're having something new. One of my listeners suggested that it would be better to say the English translation first and after that read the Russian sentence. And I think it's a pretty good idea. So first you listen to the sentence in English, and after that I repeat it again in slow Russian. Here we go, back to the first sentence. In English it would be: Today we're going to talk about Russian emergency services. Сегодня мы поговорим о российских экстренных службах. The verb поговорим is the synonym of будем говорить. So it's just the future for the verb говорить. Поговорим. We're going to talk. Then we have an adjective российский, which means Russian, of course. And don't confuse Russian as русский with российский. It's a pretty complicated situation, and many Russians confuse these two words. So Russian as русский means usually nationality, русский, or maybe the language, Russian language, русский язык. And when you hear российский, it means that something takes place in Russia. Россия, российский. So these are Russian emergency services. Российские экстренные службы. So service is служба, and the verb would be служить. Служить, служба. And emergency in Russian is экстренный. For example, emergency like some situation. Экстренная ситуация. Emergency. Okay, emergency services. Then I just name them. Ambulance, fire brigades, and police. In Russian, it's скорая помощь, противопожарная служба и полиция. First comes the ambulance. Скорая помощь. So literally we can translate it as fast help. Скорая помощь. This adjective скорый is a synonym of быстрый, fast. It can be something really speedy, like some fast train, express train. It's скорый поезд. It means that this train goes really fast and it doesn't have many stops on its way. So it's скорый поезд. Also, we can use this word speaking about some nearest future. For example, some meeting is going to happen. Скорая встреча. For example, she was very happy about the upcoming meeting. Она была счастлива скорой встрече. So, of course, it doesn't mean that that meeting is fast. It means that it will happen soon. Скоро. Скорая встреча. And so the ambulance. Скорая помощь. Then, противопожарная служба. It's a fire brigade. You can say пожарная, and the word пожар means fire. You see, in Russian we have different words for these things, like fire, огонь. It's just any fire in general. It's a fire on a match, or it's a fire in some fireplace. It's огонь. But when some house is on fire, when it's an emergency, we have the word пожар, пожар, пожар. And that's why this service is called пожарная служба. It's how we call it in everyday life. Actually, it's called противопожарная служба. So it's literally against fire. The service that's against fires. Против пожаров. Противопожарная служба. But of course, we just call them пожарные. And the third one, of course, police. Полиция. Okay, the next sentence. Again, today English comes first. Now they have a single emergency telephone number, 112. Теперь у них есть единый экстренный телефонный номер 112. I say теперь now because until recently they had different numbers. For example, if it was a fire, you should have called 01, police was 02, and ambulance was 03. And even today, most Russian people still can use those numbers and they will redirect them to the proper number. So if you say call 03, everyone will understand that you're speaking about the ambulance. Okay, now back to the vocabulary. Here we have единый, a single number. Единый номер. It means that it's the only number, one number. Actually, here we could say у них есть один номер. But единый here just sounds more natural. So it's single number for everyone. Единый номер. Okay, moving on. Ambulances in Russia are free for everyone. Скорая помощь в России бесплатна для всех. So it's free. Бесплатная. It means that everyone can call and they will come and grab you and put you in the hospital if necessary, and no one will take any money for that, except maybe for some bribe. It happens a lot here. For example, if a woman is in her labor, if it's already started and she calls an ambulance, they come and they will take her to the nearest hospital to give birth. But the problem is that most Russian hospitals are not that good, and some normal hospital can be in the opposite side of your city. And of course, the ambulance won't go there. But if you pay them, they will take you anywhere. That's how corruption works in Russia, in everyday life, I mean. So, the next sentence. Usually a brigade arrives rather fast, but sometimes you have to wait for a long time. Обычно бригада приезжает довольно быстро, но иногда приходится ждать очень долго. And it is true, it really depends on the city, depends on the situation on the roads, so it's unpredictable. For example, my son, about a year ago, he was 2, and I left my pills on the table and he took a couple of my pills. I know it's terrible, yes, but it happened. So I called the ambulance and they were here like in 5 minutes. It's incredible. But for example, in Omsk, when my grandpa had a heart attack, they didn't arrive for almost an hour. And he died, of course, because no one could help. So it really depends. But I personally wouldn't trust those guys. Okay, now to the vocabulary. Brigada. As you probably understand, it's a brigade. Usually it's a group of people. There are 2 of them, a doctor and I'm not sure how to call it in English. The one who helps a doctor. And the third one is a driver. Altogether, they are бригада. So, бригада приезжает довольно быстро. A brigade arrives rather fast. Довольно. Довольно means rather or pretty. For example, he is pretty nice. Он довольно милый. Or maybe it means kind of. For example, he's kind of funny. Он довольно веселый. But pay attention that as an adjective, this word can mean pleased, satisfied, довольный. Он выглядит довольным. He looks pleased. Or she is satisfied with her results. Она довольна своими результатами. Yeah, pretty funny examples if you put them together. He looks pleased and she's satisfied with the results of her work. Okay. So you got the general idea. Довольный as pleased and довольно as rather, kind of, pretty. So here, довольно быстро, rather fast. Okay, the next one about the fire. Fire brigades not only fight fire, but also work for its prevention. Пожарные занимаются не только борьбой с огнем, но и профилактикой. First about the word пожарные. Пожарные means firefighters. Or in singular, it's пожарный. And here comes, top 10 Russian language mistakes. I mean, mistakes that Russian people make. 99% of Russians call пожарные пожарник. So the firefighter, they would call пожарник. And it's not correct. Never say that. And firefighters in Russia, they hate it. They really hate it. Don't do that. Call them пожарные. Пожарный, not пожарник. So they not only fight fire, but try to prevent it. Профилактика is prevention. Профилактика. For example, if you don't want to catch a cold in winter, you dress warm and you try to avoid sick people, and you maybe eat lemons or honey, take vitamins. It's all to prevent the disease. In Russian, it's профилактика болезни. Профилактика. Профилактика. So, how do they do that? They hold lectures and conversations in different organizations. Они проводят беседы и лекции в различных организациях. So, проводить беседу literally means to hold a conversation. But it has kind of a not negative meaning. But usually when someone tries to teach someone else or to reprimand them, for example, if a student did something bad, then teacher can ask his or her parents to come to have a conversation with them. Провести беседу. And here with firefighters, it's not negative, but it's just, again, those firefighters teach people how not to cause fires. Проводят беседы. And it really happens in everyday life. When I worked in the Russian State Library, there are precious and extremely valuable collections of printed books, posters, postcards, and everything. So it's very dangerous to use electricity there, and we, of course, loved to drink tea all the time, right next to 16th century manuscripts. So firefighters would come every month and talk to us. And they explained how to behave there, if a fire happens, something like that. Of course, nobody remembers anything, but according to instructions, they just have to do that. Проводят беседы, conversations. Okay, and the last part about police. Police in Russia had been called милиция till 2011. Полиция в России до 2011 года называлась милиция. So it was called militia. It's been like that for years and years. So even today, most people still say militia, not police, полиция. And a policeman would be полицейский, or in old version, милиционер. For example, my grandpa was a policeman, милиционер. Actually, he was a detective, but in Russia we called everyone милиционер, policeman. And today, since 2011, when Medvedev was a president, and yes, we did have a president who was not Putin. Sounds strange, but it happened. And he changed the name. Militia turned to Poliция 6 years ago. And there were thousands and thousands of jokes, of funny images on Russian internet, so you can Google it. And because it's just, I don't know, so absurd. So absurd. Anyways, the last sentence. It is responsible for maintenance of order and fights against crime. Она отвечает за соблюдение порядка и борется с преступностью. Difficult words here. Отвечать за соблюдение порядка. To be responsible for maintenance of order. Отвечать, I guess you know this verb as to answer. For example, to answer the question. Отвечать на вопрос. I ask, you answer. Я спрашиваю, ты отвечаешь. But together with за, it means to be responsible for something. Отвечать за что-то. And it's pretty logical. Imagine that something happened and someone asked you, what's going on? And you answer. You are responsible for it, so you answer. Отвечать за что-то. To be responsible for something. Or maybe someone. For example, you are babysitting with your little brother. Я отвечаю за маленького брата. I'm responsible for my little brother. Я отвечаю за него. So, police is responsible for maintenance of order. Соблюдение порядка. And of course, it fights against crime. Борется с преступностью. Преступность means crime. And a criminal is преступник. And of course, it's all ideally. They are supposed to fight against criminals, but in real life, our police is a pretty interesting thing. But I guess it's a topic for the whole episode, because there are legends about how corrupted our police is. Okay, well, that was it for the vocabulary. Now let me read this text one more time, this time faster. Сегодня мы поговорим о российских экстренных службах, скорой помощи, противопожарной службе и полиции. Теперь у них есть единый экстренный телефонный номер 112. Скорая помощь в России бесплатна для всех. Обычно бригада приезжает довольно быстро. Но иногда приходится ждать очень долго. Пожарные занимаются не только борьбой с огнем, но и профилактикой. Они проводят беседы и лекции в различных организациях. Полиция в России до 2011 года называлась милиция. Она отвечает за соблюдение порядка и борется с преступностью. And that was it. I hope you enjoyed. And a little announcement. I've changed my email address. It's Daria, D-A-R-I-A. It's my name. If you don't know, Daria at realrussianclub.com. I had to change it together with my email provider. And if you've been following my email course, you are aware of that because I have been so annoying sending so many emails to my poor subscribers. But it was a really complicated process and I lost so many people from my list. I'm very sorry for that. And now I hope to fix it all. So you can join my new email course. Go to realrussianclub.com/subscribe. But remember, if you don't receive the confirmation email immediately, probably it went to your spam box. So don't forget to check your spam too, because for some reason this new provider generates that confirmation in some weird way, so it goes to spam pretty often. So be careful there. You might miss my most important letters. It's very sad. Okay, what else? I've received so many suggestions for topics for my podcast, so I think I'm all packed till the next year. But still, if you have any suggestions, if you want me to talk about some particular topic, let me know. Daria at realrussianclub.com. Okay, I guess that's it for today. Wait, no, it's not it. I forgot. It's the 4th of July. I want to say happy holiday to all of my listeners from the United States. Jeez, how could I forget? I hope you have a wonderful celebration there. And let me know if you have some time because I'm very curious about it. And now I guess that's finally it. Finally, I will stop talking. And thank you very much for listening. I hope to see you in the next episode of the Slow Russian Language Podcast. Bye-bye.